You probably think aging is what's keeping you up at night. But what if it's not your age at all? What if it's the silent, almost invisible habits, tiny choices made before bed, that are quietly working against your prostate every single night? You don't feel them right away. But one day you realize you're waking up more often, you're more uncomfortable, and your body doesn't feel like it used to. The truth is, it's not just time passing, it's how you're spending your nights. And unless you know what to look for, you might be accelerating the very thing you're trying to avoid. These aren't just bad habits, they're traps. And once you see them, you'll never go back. He didn't think twice about it at first. The extra trip to the bathroom at midnight, the slight discomfort, the slow stream. But what started as a small nuisance soon turned into a nightly pattern that stole his rest, chipped away at his confidence, and made him wonder if this was just what it meant to grow old. And the truth is, he wasn't alone, because millions of men over 50 are waking up for the same reason, and it has nothing to do with age itself. It's the accumulation of invisible habits done in silence, under the cover of night, that slowly, steadily inflame one of the most misunderstood parts of the male body, the prostate. And while medical treatments exist, what often goes unspoken is how much damage is done not by genetics or bad luck, but by behavior. Simple things done unconsciously, like sipping water a little too late, ignoring an urge to pee, or sleeping in a position that compresses everything below the belt. And these don't sound dangerous, but they are, because the prostate is delicate and reactive, a small gland with a big influence, and the habits you build after the sun sets determine whether you wake up rested or exhausted, empowered or embarrassed. And in this video, we're not just going to list the habits. You've probably heard some of them before. We're going to uncover the real stories behind them, the emotional costs, the practical shifts that actually work, and the deeper truth no one talks about. That most men don't suffer from aging, they suffer from neglect, not because they're careless, but because no one ever told them how much power they still have, even now. Especially now, to protect one of the most essential yet overlooked parts of their health. So if you're waking up more than once, feeling pressure, hesitation, or that dull, dragging discomfort you can't quite name, don't brush it off, because your body isn't betraying you, it's trying to speak. And this time, we're going to listen. 1. Drinking too much water. Before bed, excess fluids before sleep strain the bladder and prostate, causes frequent urination and inflammation. Fix: hydrate earlier in the day, stop heavy intake after 6 p.m. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? After all, every doctor says drink more water, stay hydrated, flush your system, and they're right during the day. But what most people don't realize is that the same healthy habit, done at the wrong time, can quietly sabotage your nights. Because when you drink water too late, especially after dinner or within 2 hours of sleep, you overload a system that's trying to shut down, not ramp up. And the bladder doesn't just fill and empty like a faucet. It responds to every signal around it, and so does the prostate, a small but pressure-sensitive gland that surrounds the urethra like a tight collar. And when it's even slightly inflamed, it reacts sharply to the tiniest increase in volume, which means that late-night hydration leads not just to urination, but to urgency, hesitation, and that dreaded feeling of never being fully empty. And you might think it's age or caffeine or stress, but often it's the cup of water you mindlessly sip while watching TV, or the glass of herbal tea you thought would help you sleep. And over time, your bladder stops stretching properly, your prostate stays inflamed, and your nights become fragmented. Your mornings start heavy, and the cycle repeats quietly, painfully, and unnecessarily And no one tells you this. Not because it's a secret, but because it sounds too simple. And yet, when Harold, 67, began setting a hard cut-off at 6:30 p.m. for all liquids and moved his hydration window earlier, something remarkable happened. Not overnight, but over weeks. He went from waking up 4 times a night to once, sometimes none. And the strangest part wasn't just better sleep. It was how much more energy he had during the day, how his blood pressure improved, how he felt more himself again. All because he stopped treating water like medicine and started treating it like timing. And this is the truth most men never hear. It's not what you drink, it's when you drink it. Because the body isn't just a tank, it's a rhythm, and your prostate hears every note. 2. Eating salty or processed foods at night. High sodium increases fluid retention, disrupts sleep, and stresses the prostate. Fix. Choose lighter, fresher meals with low salt content in the evening. It's just a snack, a little something before bed, a handful of salted nuts, a slice of leftover pizza, maybe a few chips during your favorite show. And you tell yourself you deserve it, that it's small, harmless, comforting, and in some ways it is, emotionally, but physiologically, it's a minefield. Because what you're really doing is layering your bloodstream with sodium, preservatives, and inflammation triggers right before your body enters its most restorative phase. And the problem is this: your kidneys, your bladder, and your prostate are not designed to multitask when you sleep. They're meant to wind down, filter quietly, and reset. But a hit of salt forces your system into overdrive, retaining water, increasing internal pressure, and flooding tissues, especially in the lower pelvic region, with fluid they can't drain efficiently in a horizontal position, and the prostate, already sensitive, already prone to swelling with age, becomes congested, stiff, irritated, and suddenly you're waking up at 1:30, 3:15, 4:45, not from nightmares, but from the silent consequence of sodium. And nobody blames the food, because nobody links inflammation with snacks. But ask any urologist what happens when men reduce their nighttime sodium intake, and they'll tell you the difference is dramatic. And we saw this with Thomas, a 74-year-old who loved his nightly bag of pretzels. When he swapped them for a slice of pear and a handful of unsalted almonds, he not only slept better, he noticed his morning urgency dropped by half. And what shocked him most wasn't the better flow. It was the calm, the peace, the way he felt less bloated, more grounded, more himself. And it all began by realizing that nighttime isn't for fueling, it's for flushing. And your prostate can't heal when it's constantly being called back to duty by something as small and as powerful as salt. 3. Holding in urine. During the night, ignoring the urge to urinate stretches the bladder and increases pressure on the prostate, leads to inflammation, slower flow, and infection risk. Fix. Get up and go when the urge strikes, even once per night. You feel the urge, the subtle pressure in your bladder, the gentle nudge from your body asking for relief. But the bed is warm. The clock says 3:12 a.m. and you tell yourself you'll go later, that you don't really need to get up yet, and you roll over, trying to fall back asleep, ignoring what feels like a minor inconvenience. But what you don't see is the silent damage being done underneath. Because every time you hold in urine, especially at night, you're stretching your bladder, straining your pelvic muscles, and most dangerously, compressing your prostate with a backflow of pressure it wasn't built to withstand. And while once or twice might not matter, doing this night after night slowly trains your body to delay relief. And that delay creates tension, tightness, and inflammation, which builds into poor flow, frequent urgency, and the lingering sense that you're never fully emptied. And the worst part is how common this is. How many men think they're being strong or tough or efficient by staying in bed. But strength doesn't mean ignoring your body. It means responding to it with respect, because when you hold in urine, you're not just deferring a task, you're inviting dysfunction. And this isn't just about the prostate either. It affects the kidneys, the bladder lining, the muscles that control release. And over time, it's a recipe for infections, residual urine buildup, and sometimes even permanent damage. And James, a 69-year-old retired teacher, learned this the hard way when he started experiencing nighttime dribbling and pain. All because he'd trained himself to ignore the urge, and when his urologist explained the connection, he was stunned, and so he made a simple rule. Get up every time, no matter how small the urge, and in 3 weeks his pain eased, his flow returned, and for the first time in months he felt in control again. Not because he took a pill, but because he stopped treating nighttime urges like interruptions and started seeing them as instructions. Because your body isn't bothering you, it's guiding you, and the longer you wait, the louder it will have to speak. 4. Sleeping on your stomach puts direct pressure on the pelvic region, interfering with circulation and drainage. Fix. Switch to side sleeping with support. EZWG, pillow between knees. You don't think of your sleep position as a choice. It's just what your body does. A habit built over years, decades even. But what if the way you rest is actually stressing your most sensitive internal structures every single night, without you realizing it? Because when you sleep on your stomach, you're doing more than sinking into the mattress. You're applying direct pressure to the entire pelvic basin, a zone already vulnerable to age-related tension, nerve constriction, and inflammation. And here's what most people never realize. Your lower abdomen, bladder, and prostate aren't designed to bear your body's full weight for 8 hours straight. And yet, that's exactly what stomach sleeping does. Compressing blood flow, interrupting circulation, and leaving key tissues deprived of oxygen and mobility at the precise time they're supposed to be healing, flushing, and recalibrating. And when Robert, age 71, came in complaining of morning stiffness and bladder discomfort, his physician asked a simple question: how do you sleep? And that question changed everything. Because once Robert switched to side sleeping with a pillow between his knees and another at his chest to keep him stable, his night urgency dropped, his lower back pain eased, and most surprisingly, his sense of rest returned, not just in quantity, but in quality. And it makes sense when you think about it. Your prostate, small as it is, doesn't need to be bruised by hours of passive pressure every night. And when given even an inch of relief, it responds quickly, almost gratefully. So the next time you wake up sore, heavy, tight, don't blame your mattress. Ask your body what posture it's been trapped in. Because sometimes the simplest fix is not another supplement, not another scan, but a different way to lie down and let go. And maybe that's the most radical thing of all, to stop sleeping in a way that's fighting your body and instead allow the night to become a place of relief, not resistance. 5. Skipping the bathroom before bed. Even a partially full bladder applies pressure on the prostate overnight. Fix. Make urination part of your nightly routine, regardless of urgency. You brush your teeth, maybe take your vitamins, set your alarm, but you don't go to the bathroom because you don't feel like you need to, because there's no urge yet, because you just went an hour ago, and so you skip it, thinking you're being efficient or intuitive, not realizing that in doing so, you've already written the first chapter of your restless night. Because here's the truth. A partially full bladder is not a neutral thing. It's active, pressurized, and engaged with every organ around it, especially the prostate, which doesn't need a full bladder to become irritated. It just needs proximity and tension. And by skipping that one last trip to the bathroom, you set in motion a low-grade inflammatory response that slowly builds through the night. And you might fall asleep fine, but then you wake up at 2:40, not knowing why, not realizing it was your own body trying to reclaim what it wasn't allowed to release. And this is what happened to Miguel, 65, who never thought skipping a nighttime pee was a big deal until he started journaling his patterns, what he ate, when he drank, and yes, when he relieved himself. And he noticed a trend. The nights he skipped the bathroom before bed were the ones he woke up groggy, irritable, tight, and when he made one small change, peeing as part of his nightly wind-down, regardless of urgency, his sleep deepened, his discomfort dropped, and for the first time, he realized the power of presence, of doing what his body might need before it screamed for it. And this is a message we rarely hear. You don't wait until a problem becomes urgent to address it, especially when the solution is as simple as listening to your body before the lights go out. Because this isn't about routine, it's about respect. And for a man with an aging prostate, respect isn't optional, it's essential. By now, the picture is becoming clearer. Not a horror story, not a diagnosis, but a map. A series of quiet crossroads where every man must choose. Do I keep doing what I've always done? Or do I start treating my nights like they matter? Because the truth is, they do, more than most people realize. And not just for rest, but for repair, for recovery, for the kind of slow healing that doesn't make headlines, but changes lives. And it doesn't require extreme measures, expensive products, or complicated routines. Just intention, just awareness, just a willingness to trade autopilot for something closer to stewardship. And that begins with noticing the little things. A glass of water pushed earlier into the afternoon, a plate of food chosen for nourishment rather than numbness, a choice to get up when the bladder whispers instead of waiting for it to shout, a new pillow position, a final bathroom visit, even when the need feels faint. And each one of these, alone, seems small, forgettable, but stacked together, night after night, they become powerful because this is how the body heals, incrementally, consistently, quietly, when we get out of its way. And for men like Jerome, 72, who thought his restless nights and constant urgency were just the price of aging, it only took 1 month of small, consistent changes to reverse that story. Fewer wake-ups, less pressure, more flow, deeper sleep, and the return of something more important than any symptom. Confidence, clarity, peace, and the quiet pride of reclaiming something he thought was lost. And that's the lesson. You're not broken. You're just overdue for better care. And when you stop dismissing the habits that seem minor and start giving your nights the same attention you give your work, your workouts, your wallet, you'll find that aging doesn't mean decline. It means invitation, to listen deeper, to act sooner, and to finally honor the part of yourself that's been whispering for years. I'm not done yet. I just need a little help.